If you feel as if your brain is against you all day, every day, you wake up with the best of intentions to diet well, avoid snacking, get to the gym first thing in the morning, go out your steps, even get your work block done, and you suspect you have ADHD, or you do have ADHD and you know that, or even just you struggle in general with the noise of your day-to-day life, you're not alone. I thought I'd make this video because after getting diagnosed with ADHD a few years ago at the age of 29, a lot of these habits and behaviours started to make sense. I felt extremely validated whenever I got the diagnosis, but then when I realised it's just a diagnosis, the habits, behaviours and impulses never really changed until I kind of figured out a system that actually helps. It helps my brain. Not just like I think it helps my brain. There's research behind this. And I don't think enough people talk about diet and ADHD because so many people with ADHD have some form of addictive personality. That might have been put into food, business, in a positive sense, and sometimes it can be your downfall because you get hyperfixated on something. And it's just a constant roller coaster, and then it can go the opposite way and go into addiction. GLP-1 experiment recently, by accident, it kind of rewired my brain a bit. The noise went away, and this isn't anything around GLP-1s. I'm going to give you a proven system after this, because the GLP-1's a kind of reminder of that it is neurological. It's not just a personality thing. So I'll cut to 2 minutes worth of my take on what that done to my brain. The amount of fat loss and weight loss that I had, what shocked me most actually wasn't the weight loss. I knew it was effective. The thing that shocked me by surprise was the quiet. And anyone who struggles with addiction is majorly impulsive. They have all these compulsions on a day-to-day basis. It could be alcohol, food, dopamine seeking, just scrolling on your phone. I understand everyone has that to an extent, but until you live with that on a daily basis and it can consume you, you might not know what I mean. And if you're watching this, maybe you fall into that category. That voice during the 30-day experiment genuinely just disappeared. I became more productive than I've been in a long time. And for the longest time, I thought it was just me. And then I came across a couple of videos.
Could weight loss medications also treat addiction? These medications might also reduce binge drinking and problem drinking, but it's not a proven treatment just yet, but early studies look promising.
Like Dr. Michael says, it's not a proven treatment yet, but I think it's super interesting. Initially, GLP-1s were derived from purely treating diabetes, then found fat loss properties, and now we might have found a very powerful, I wouldn't say cure, but massive help for people that struggle with addiction. So after I've seen this clip, I done a bit of digging, because here's the thing, I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was 29. My whole life kind of started to make a bit of sense. My family are full of people who are neurodiverse, whether they know it or not. But the more digging that I done, the more this made sense. Not just for me, but for the kind of neurodiverse population. When you grow up around that, the kind of chaos feels pretty normal. You just kind of think you've got a wee bit of the wrong wiring. But what if we're not? So here's what I found. People with ADHD and other neurodevelopmental disorders, I hate calling them disorders, but they're 2 to 3 times more likely to be addicted, whether it's alcohol, substance abuse, etc. 1 in 4 people with ADHD have binge eating disorder. And in a morbid way, and I don't want to spend too long on this part, I don't want to be negative. People who are neurodiverse are at a much higher risk of unaliving themselves. So GLP-1s don't just reduce food noise, they reduce that reward-seeking escapism behaviour. So ADHD is something that, when it comes to addiction, whether that's food, alcohol, drugs, or a positive thing like working out, like business, everything has its pros and cons. But with a constant roller coaster that you're in on a daily basis, it's absolutely exhausting. And because I've experienced this my whole life, I thought, I need to figure out a better way to do this. So I'm going to give you kind of my best takes on, from start to finish, what a day and structuring your diet and exercise should look like with ADHD, because it is a bit different to everyone else. Your brain works very differently to everyone else. So whether you've been on ADHD medication or not, what you will notice is that sometimes when you go on ADHD medication, when you first start, your appetite completely goes. And then you kind of regulate and then it'll not. But whenever I first went on ADHD medication and I thought it was going to fix my ADHD, my appetite completely went. And when I was with the doctor every month, asking about how I'm doing, basically kind of asking how ADHD's going, and it wasn't really improving, to be honest. And so I just kept getting put up and up dose. Before I knew it, I've got no appetite at all, and I lost about 30 pounds by accident. And it might sound good, but I had no energy, kind of similar to the way that the GLP-1 thing affected me in terms of my appetite. So now that I'm not really on ADHD medication or a very limited dose and I don't take it every day, here's a few things that really help me manage my ADHD naturally through diet and exercise that can help you recruit natural, effective dopamine and not synthetic stuff. So when it comes to getting in shape with ADHD, the same rules still apply. You have a calorie deficit, high protein diet, etc. But when it comes to structure, when it comes to dopamine, when it comes to when you have your most energy, or you have 4 hours in the day where you're absolutely unstoppable and the rest of it you're a walking distraction, there's ways to manage this. So I'm going to go into them. So let's cover food first of all. When it comes to diet, protein is important, and chances are whenever it comes down to the evening time, you're going to get late night cravings. You're going to be maybe stopped work. If you've got kids, maybe you put the kids to bed and you just want something. Maybe that's a beer in the evening, whether that's some snacks, something carb heavy, and then you feel as if you've went off track and you're starting again. Instead of fighting that urge and that behaviour, I follow something called carb backloading. And really that's just where I get the majority of my protein in and I front load the protein at the start of the day. And by doing this, not only does it affect and help your diet to allow you to save some calories and carbohydrates for the evening, it actually helps you cognitively. So there's some data on like the ketogenic diet helping people with ADHD, like the ketogenic diet in general. Unless you've got epilepsy, I wouldn't recommend. But when it comes down to managing your ADHD, being able to reduce the carbohydrates that you have during the day to allow you to have them in the evening when you're most craving them is definitely one of the best things that I've done. Below you'll find different recipes and things for free that you can start to implement and take some of that on board and even build a free meal plan. But this just allows you to backload the majority of your carbohydrates until later on in the day. So you can afford the evening snack and you don't feel guilty about it because you've planned it and you've been proactive with it. Not only that, if you do train first thing, which was my next point, if you train first thing in the morning, you've restored what you would call your glycogen stores, which is the energy in your muscle, to actually facilitate the next morning's workout. So that brings me on to training. So whether you're able to go to the gym first thing in the morning or you're able to go a walk first thing in the morning, it's honestly the best thing that you can do, because when you wake up, and if you're slightly addicted to caffeine like myself, you want that kind of caffeine hit and you want the kind of short bursts of things. But by moving your body first thing, it's kind of like the catalyst to how the day is going to look. So getting some form of movement in first thing, if you can go to the gym, great. If not, you can get a walk, then get it in first thing, because the more the day goes on, the more you'll kind of be craving the kind of quick hit dopamine, and then you'll find yourself in a hole, whether it's scrolling too much and just putting off the thing that you know you should be doing, whether that's the gym later on in the day and you don't go. And if you're really struggling with managing all of these things, you've got so much noise and you just can't implement it, and you maybe need to stay accountable. I was fucking bit by an ant. Fucking, they're all over me. Fuck it. So if this is something you're struggling with, this is genuinely who I help. It's people with ADHD, business owners, parents. You don't have to have ADHD to join my program. Just a lot of clients end up, they do have ADHD because we tend to kind of resonate with each other. And I always think it's important when you're looking for a coach to actually have something in common with them, whether that is the fact that you're a parent, whether that's the fact that you're a business owner, or even just kind of grew up in a similar city. It doesn't necessarily matter that you have all the things in common. I just think a lot of people go to a coach because they've got a lot of followers or whatever, but they're maybe 20 years old and they're a mum of 3 kids and they're a single mum, and you just can't really understand the problems. So I think that's always an important thing when it comes to coaching. But if you're not quite there in terms of trust and you're not ready for coaching, watch a few other videos. I'll link something up here. And if you do want some free help, I'll link that down below as well. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.